Hey everybody, this is Grant again. So, was thinking Apple here, going through some trade opportunities on Apple. Now, again, to reorient your eyes, so two main charts. Left-hand side is the market effectiveness chart. The right-hand side is a price chart on Apple. I'm using a range chart over here on Apple. Okay, let's see what's going on here with these two. So when I did the when I shot the video recently on Walmart and talked about its trading, so and the signals on it. So there's three key elements, right? There's the trading chart over here. Excuse me. There's the market effectiveness chart over here on the left-hand side. And if you remember, there's the gear shifts, right, where it pops down, comes back up, and that tells us to start looking for an opportunity. And in Walmart, the order goes, typically gear shift. And then down here on the bottom right is the market engine indicator. So you get a pattern. And then typically then you get confirmation, with the yellow and green or yellow and red lines. All right. With Apple, the order's not quite the same. So one of the reasons for that is because of its relationship to the indexes. So it has a much heavier influence on the indexes. It will obviously drive the indexes. So waiting for the gear shift to occur as the first thing isn't always the right thing to do. Sometimes it happens, but lots of times that might be a second or a third part of it. Now you still want all three. Occasionally you might just get two and you might miss an opportunity, but I prefer to go with a higher probability, so I wait for all three. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk through was it five? Yeah, 5 opportunities I'm going to walk through. Now, I've labeled these D1, H2, D3. The way to translate that is D1 means there's a divergence trade, and so we're going to look at that. So it's the first trade I'm going to walk through, so D1, then H2 for halfback, D3 over here. I get 2 at the same time, one up here and down at the bottom. Then a D4, another divergence, and then finally a D5, which is a very light shift, right? Not as deep as I prefer. All right, let me back up and walk through these. So here's the order. On this first trade opportunity, number 1, what happens is in this case, we get the typical market effectiveness chart gear shift takes place, okay? So it comes down nice and deep, pops back up. So we start thinking, all right, let's look for a potential change in direction with Apple. Now, leading up to this, if I squeeze that down a little bit, you can see it's coming up. So the thought is, all right, maybe it's going to try to shift back down. And in fact, we get a divergence pattern now. That's the second thing that occurs. We get a divergence pattern here. So it looks like, all right, this really might go down. But what happens is there's no confirmation. So there's no trade on this one. In other words, we got the red coming down, but there's no yellow that came with it. And so that's critical that we get both of those. So while the bearish side did take a look and the bears were trying to get that down, they weren't able to do that. Also, the other key thing to watch out is this is during earnings report, so another reason to be careful and stay away as well. But in any event, it was trying to set up for it to push down. It didn't do that. But what it did was then it set us up for the next one, which is the halfback. And so the halfback here, the very first piece was on May 2nd over here. You see the H2. We get a gear shift. So pushes down, comes up, says, all right, let's be looking for a change. The second thing to happen then is we get the halfback. Remember, the halfback is it starts up here at the orange, or it can start at the bottom orange. In this case, it's starting at the top. Comes down, chops around the bottom here. You draw that trend line. When it pops back up there, you're like, okay, that's a halfback indication. So that's the second element. We need 3. And in this case, actually on the same day, on May 5th, we get both the green and the yellow coming out. So there's your bullish opportunity. So in my case, I'd be selling some puts on that and taking advantage of both decay as well as directional use of the puts there. Okay. So that's a decent one. Let's go to trade opportunity 3. So really the first trade opportunity didn't translate in one because we've got no confirmation. Second opportunity was a good set of signals there. Up it went. It went from May 2nd. it took from May 2nd to May 5th in order for all the signals to line up. All right, let's go look at the third opportunity. So in this third case, what happens with this is, so the first order is we get on May 12th, excuse me, we come up right here, May 12th. In this case, we have gear shift on both the index as well as my unique algorithm to tell me, hey, there's some misalignment here between Apple and its index as well as the futures. So that's a good strong sign right there. So that's the first thing on May 12th, right? Now, we don't get anything again until up here to May, what do we got? May 16th, we get the divergence pattern. Now, the divergence pattern had already been starting down here. If you look on the right chart, down at the bottom where my mouse is, it already started. We get a nice another confirmation of that on May 16th. So we've been waiting a few days after the gear shift for the pattern to, we already had a little bit of a notification, but we get a nice strong confirmation there on that day. You can see price is pushing up, whereas it continues to drop back. All right, so that's May 16th. So what we're looking for is, we're looking for a nice confirmation coming off here, and that happens on the 17th. In this case, D3 up there on the top, way up here. We get both the red and the yellow coming down, and there's the trade to the downside. Now, in this case, what happens here, and this has been, you know, good selling of a particular call spread, however you want to trade that. A couple ways to do that for sure. But this was a quick pullback, because now what happens is we're looking for D4. Now, this is one case where, as I started this, I wanted you to be aware of the fact that these can really get out of order, right? And so in this case, down here at the bottom, we actually got the divergence, what's that, May 18th? Yeah, May 18th, we get the divergence here where we got, you know, price, the effective price pushing down lower, but here we've got the market engine working up. So we actually on May 18th get that first confirmation of that. That's not enough though. What we're looking for is the confirmation lines up here, and we get that on May 19th. We get the yellow and the green coming up. Now, I know some folks will actually, you know, take the trade right there without the, especially in Apple, without having the gear shift take place yet, because it hadn't yet at this point. That's certainly your choice. It's your risk tolerance at that point. I like to try to wait to see if that happens, and it does here. It takes till, gosh, quite a few days, May 26th, all right, May 25th, May 25th, or 26th, somewhere right through there, if I can hold it, 25th, there we go. May 25th, I get the first gear shift. That'd be enough to say, okay, I'm gonna take that. So there's a lot of time spread out through that one. You can see it chops around, pulls back a little bit. There's no red down there, so that's good. Anyway, it continues up. Then here we come into the last one, which is D5. Now, D5 gives us a shallow, and that's why Apple's kind of unique with this, right? Gives us a shallow gear shift on June 8th. So it's the first signal to occur. It doesn't even get down to the zero. So I call it shallow. So I don't like that as much, but it does give me that indication right there. And then here we come into, we get both a halfback as well as a divergence right there on the 9th as well. And then also on the 9th, we get the same drop and confirmation on the yellow and red lines. All right, so that's a nice trade. That trade, you know, you stay in that one for a while. When it comes down here to the 12th, starts to push up. Sometime around the 13th, I would have gotten out of it, because then I start to see the yellow line coming out. But I don't have any gear shifts or patterns on that, so I'd have just gotten out on that one. What I wanted to point out here as I wrap up is we have something potentially in the making. So here's a potential halfback. So it started at the bottom. It's come up. It's broken down. It's broken down. What I am looking for, though, is confirmation, right? I'd like to get a little stronger gear shift. I don't have anything like that yet. then I also want to see potentially both the yellow and the green. So the greens come down, waiting for the yellow. This is on June 23rd, so this is just this last week. So watching the form to see what's happening there with Apple, and if it's going to give us that confirmation to come down, and hopefully get a gear shift as well. That's even higher probability. Okay, that's it for now. Thanks for joining, and until next time, trade safe.